Okay, now diving into our content for the session, Preston Dunlap is moderating this special session regarding national strategies for quantum. Preston has been a leader in the US government for many years, directly working for 4 secretaries of defense on a variety of critical programs and initiatives. He was the Chief Technology Officer of the United States Air Force and also the first CTO of the US Space Force. He left government to help advance the ways in which our technology and space communities serve the commercial and government markets, both here and abroad. Preston is the founder and general manager of Arkenstone Ventures and Arkenstone Capital, providing advisory services and capital to space and technology startups. The special guest which he will be interviewing for this session is Naftali Bennett. Mr. Bennett is a member of Quantum Source's board of directors and became Israel's 13th prime minister in 2021, leading the most diverse government in the nation's history. Prior to that, he served as Minister of Economy, Minister of Education, and Minister of Defense, and is known for his innovations and his bold reforms. Before entering politics, Mr. Bennett built a successful career as a technology entrepreneur, and in 1999, he co-founded the information security company Kyoda and served as the CEO until the company was sold to RSA. In 2009, Mr. Bennett served as CEO of the cloud computing company startup Saludo, which was later sold to Asurion. He's currently a director at the company Quantum Source, and they entangle atomic qubits and photonic qubits to enable fault-tolerant quantum computing. Mr. Prime Minister and Preston, we stand ready to hear how national strategies for quantum are going to have an outsized global impact. Please come and take it away.
Morning.
All right, good morning. Thank you all, and thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for being here with us today to talk quantum. We're just going to get right into it. You know, we're here with industry, academia, government folks caring about quantum. You think we're going to start cheering about quantum today, but we're very pragmatic individuals, I think the two of us. And so we're going to ask the question and get right into it about, we have heard quantum is just around the corner for 5, 10 or so years. Would love your thoughts about, are we at that corner? How close are we to being able to turn that point to make quantum something that we can practically use?
Well, first of all, good morning, and it's exciting and touching to see so many people come from so many places around America, around the world, surrounding one amazing and exciting vision that'll make the world a much better place. I believe so. I believe we are soon to turn the corner. I'm seeing a confluence of a bunch of trends. First of all, we're seeing the technology mature. As we speak, there's a bunch of companies who are already building the data centers that'll contain the quantum computing and spending billions on it. But you're seeing across the board the technology mature in terms of error corrections, and basically on all layers of quantum computing, sensors, computing, the stack, the software above. And the second thing is that just the raw amount of money that's being poured in, and this year has been phenomenal. We're seeing numbers we never saw before. Clearly, not all those investments will succeed, but for the particular investor, it might be bad news, but for the industry as a whole, it's wonderful news. We saw in all the previous technological breakthroughs that massive investment ultimately brought the turn. And I would also say, I think governments are waking up. I think that because everyone thought that AI would never happen, and it happened. So from a very fundamental and straightforward perspective, if I, as a head of a nation, I see, okay, we never thought AI would happen, and now I'm personally using it, so this thing might happen. And then I call in experts and say, what does this thing mean? And when I hear what it means, I get scared, so I got to invest. And that's why I think we are nearing the moment that we're, for hundreds of years, people talked about airplanes, and the Wright brothers made it happen. Same with AI, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you mentioned resources, I think focus here. So as you look sort of globally at this from a company, a nation, state perspective, what do you think are a couple of the key limiters to being able to achieve that rounding the corner? Is it money? Is that the main thing? Or are there tech breakthroughs that you're particularly looking for?
Well, I think it still goes down to the lab and the tech breakthroughs that still are yet to happen. In my own company, Quantum Source, we're in very, very deep physics, and we'll talk about it later on. Especially the issue of scaling. Scaling is the big issue. You can produce, you can generate qubits, entangle them, but when you're looking at scaling, it becomes much more difficult. You're talking about masses of energy for cooling, and so it's still ahead of us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's kind of dive into some of that. I think, so McKinsey and others have sort of postulated $100+ billion addressable market over the next 5-10 years. So clearly there's interest in commercialization of the technology. I think, although you can correct me, I think I've heard you say that you feel like the advent of practical quantum could be even bigger than the ChatGPT moment. If that's something that I think you do think, like why do you think that, and what do you think the ramifications will be when we hit quantum?
Well, actually, I think we're going to see one of the big use cases for quantum compute is AI itself, because we know that AI is hitting limits, and they're desperately trying to scale up their compute power. It's not that the quantum technology lends itself to all aspects of AI, but to some of the components of AI it does. And you know that in AI, unfortunately, it's not linear progress. If you multiply the compute to 10x, the improvement in the AI performance might be 5%. So we're hitting, it's getting tougher every moment, and that's why we need a quantum leap here, pardon the pun, in order to release that bottleneck. I think we don't fully realize the scope of what we'll see when we hit the quantum moment, the quantum advantage. First of all, it has amazing potential to provide the world with much healthier and longer lives through medicine that we can only imagine. AI will not achieve that without the quantum breakthrough. Same goes for material, which plays to abundance and fighting hunger. So the world, the quantum breakthrough will make the world a much better place on those aspects. Obviously, it has huge security risks, and national security risks and international security risks that we have to think about.
Yeah, so let's go there. It's a great point. So lots of tremendous opportunities. Texting over here with Sam Altman. I'm not sure if he agrees if this is a bigger moment than ChatGPT or not, but I think it could be fantastic when we get there because of all the applications and sensing and communications and compute power, everything that you just said. But it also comes with potential risks. So one easy thing that we think about when we think of quantum, at least in the security world, are things like encryption. So right now, we're heavily fortified because it takes computers long periods of time to go crack codes and break into systems. So if you're a bank out there, a government, an intelligence organization, or just a private individual wanting to keep your privacy, how risky, how much of a concern should we have for the advent of quantum? Do you feel like we're, as nations and corporate, citizens, if you will, sort of asleep at the wheel on preparing for defense against a quantum world?
I think the implications on international and national security are are huge. And it goes way beyond just encryption. We'll start from encryption. You know, on my own company, on the board, I had Adi Shamir, the S of RSA. And we understand that when we reach a certain threshold in quantum technology development, the entire foundation of our encryption and the internet, in banks, and everything is open. And that could destroy world economy in half a day. Imagine all your accounts are empty and messed up, what happens to the world. And this is a very tangible situation. It's assuming the quantum progress is going to happen as we spoke about a few minutes ago. This is a moment that's going to happen. So yeah, there are preparations being done. I'll let you know, though, also on the bad actor side, pretty much every bad actor right now is collecting data that is encrypted and hoarding it in warehouses, knowing that maybe 5 years down the road, when that moment happens, even if all our institutions protect ourselves and defend ourselves against the quantum encryption technology, still you can go back to the warehouse and look at data that was not yet protected. So that's already happened, all right? So assume that all the mega powers have huge warehouses full of data that they can't break right now. It's encrypted, but 5 years from now, they can go to their own warehouses and break that. That's gonna happen, but it's way beyond that. You know, I guess my best analogy for why I am terrified from this moment is, you know, in 1519, Hernando Cortez came with a few hundred soldiers to Mexico, and he met the Aztec Empire. This was a huge, strong, economically strong empire, but he defeated them. He defeated them because there was no competition. It was a whole different playing field. He had weapons that the enemy couldn't even imagine. He had materials the enemy couldn't imagine, technology the enemy couldn't imagine, and tactics and strategy that the Aztecs could not imagine. So with a few hundred, he defeated millions. This is what I'm talking about. It goes way beyond encryption. We're talking about new materials that could be stealthy and very light. We're talking about 20x batteries on their efficiency. We're talking across the board, and I have a sense, and in fact, I would encourage good actor governments around the world to closely control quantum technology, which means that if you don't own sovereign compute power, which is a combination of quantum technology, AI, and the people with the know-how, you're the Aztecs. And you're totally dependent on others. We see it now already with the control on GPUs, but that's that's only the tip of the iceberg. It goes way beyond. So imagine, not only from a narrow security standpoint, but from a national power situation, that I'm left out. And those guys have all of that economically, technologically, defense-wise. So it's like those movies where you have aliens that are 1,000 years ahead of us fighting us. It's no competition. I'll say one last thing. I have to be direct. The world we are entering now is very different from the world that we knew, say, post-World War II till 2010. The world is weird, okay? The world has gone nuts. About 15 years ago, you're seeing all democracies act in very strange ways. The world is a tougher world. The rules-based world, I don't want to say is falling apart, but is weakening at its seams. And what does it mean? It means, unfortunately, at least for the foreseeable future, we're entering a more Hobbesian world where every nation is going to have to look out for itself more and can be less dependent on others, which is another reason that no national leader can allow herself to lack sovereign compute power.
I'd like to come back to the national impetus here in a moment. One thing, you mentioned before then that the quantum moment is coming. And so in the world of GPT and large language models, we get into arguments spiritedly about, do we have super intelligence or general intelligence or sentient nature? We go back and forth on these. And sort of we have our own spicy quantum equivalents of that here as well. Do we have quantum supremacy or not? That sort of launched into sort of high gear in sort of roughly 2019. Google announcing, we've got quantum supremacy, and sort of showcasing that. IBM coming back and saying, wait a second, that 10,000 years is really 2.5 days. You just need to change the algorithm. And now we've got sort of more contained qubits that are happening. So this debate is happening amongst different companies as they sort of move towards these quantum moments. How should maybe we broadly, the royal we or nations, think about the concept of that quantum moment, that quantum supremacy? Is that really a thing that we should be building metrics towards, or is that just sort of like a step in a longer journey? How do you think about defining a metric for, hey, we've achieved something meaningful here, to know, are we at that quantum moment or not?
Yeah, well, I think it will be gradual, but because it'll be gradual, I'm more concerned about it because when I look at the AI world as an analogy, I think that we are having people tinkering with the most dangerous technologies in world history. Now, right now it seems all benign because you play with your Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever, but we don't realize that we're tinkering with that. So the degree of supervision, the degree of control, and I'm a free market guy. I grew up not in politics. I grew up in high tech. I founded and ran a couple of cyber companies, technology companies in Israel and America, there's no one that hates regulation more than me. Despite that, notwithstanding what I said, because of the immense implication that we can't fathom, we've got the Oppenheimers of the day right now are 25-year-old pimpled kids in Palo Alto and eating pizza, but don't realize or don't have that control now. It becomes even more problematic because here's the thing: you have let's say two risks: the generic risk of the technology taking over, which I think is a real one. I don't think it's science fiction at all, and that would indicate to us or tell us to slow down, take it slowly, do it gradually. But then now you have the commercial competition and the international competition, which says, I don't want to be left behind, so you're speeding. So it's sort of, you have to be in this balance act where you're going slow enough to ensure that we have the right guardrails on these technologies, but fast enough so bad actors don't reach the quantum moment or supremacy moment, intelligent supremacy moment before the good actors, and then you might have a winner take it all situation. So this is complex. If I were in power at this point, and by the way, I intend to return to lead Israel, and that's a whole different issue. We need to fix that. I would work a lot on creating an international framework of, including with the bad actors, because they're there. And at the end of the day, they also have an interest that we don't lose control of these technologies.
So let's actually kind of go there a little bit, if you don't mind. So you've got a great global perspective of quantum, both positives and security risks. We've been thinking here, and I think we'll do more thinking at the conference about how individual nations, as you think about their strategy, their positioning, both resources, focus, attention on that. Do you mind sharing a bit? Like, what's that thinking for Israel in particular?
Well, unfortunately, I think right now, specifically on this item, because obviously our attention has been diverted for the past 3 years. So the government is not on it right now, and that's not a good thing. In the private sector, wow, we've got a bustling quantum ecosystem. That its main source is just high-quality PhDs from the Technion, from the Weizmann Institute. In my own company, we have 26 PhDs, mostly from the Weizmann Institute, so there is a race there, but you can't only depend on private money here. Because of the nature of the timelines to seeing money, to an exit, and because of the high capital investment, and because of the very high risk of every individual pursuit of the many companies operating, they're not all going to succeed. Ultimately, there's going to be several that will pave the way, and many others will then fall apart. So it's a very high risk investment. So it's one of those areas where you need government money as well.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about money for a second. I want to come back to you. On the money side, so there's definitely capital moving.
Oh, yeah.
I think Stu showed up, earlier, some valuation changes.
Yeah.
And the relative thing sort of...
By the way, I would be a bit worried. We don't know when we'll hit the maturity of the technology, and what I would be concerned about is premature mass valuations that go too high and can't sustain themselves long enough, and then you might see the bust. I've been
never seen that before.
Never seen. I remember I had founded my company in '99, and I was in Sand Hill Road pitching, and came March and April of 2000, and boom, I saw what the collapse of an industry looks like in real time. So yeah, we're still yet to see ups and downs. Pardon.
No, that's a great point. So valuations are one thing.
Yeah.
Investment dollars, another, a little bit more tangible. So we see it increase, but still relatively modest. Just in terms of sort of direct investment, a few $1 billion last year or so. An increase significantly from the year prior, but still relatively modest in the world of tech investment in general. Interestingly, half of that private capital dollars went into only 2 companies, Quantinuum and PsiQuantum, as well. So we have very significant concentration of capital into 2. So what would you say to investors or LPs to investors to encourage increased private capital investment in the category of quantum?
Well, I think that as the 2 major players that you talked about, as they progress, and they are 2 remarkable companies, we are going to hit lots of walls, technological walls, and ultimately, we don't know which way is going to succeed. We don't have at this moment a deterministic statement that if we do X and Y, we will reach this. Still at this moment, we don't know that. And therefore, there can be, given the valuations of those companies, if you look at other companies, you might find amazing bargains, because you can come in at a much lower valuation, and you see already what it'll look like later on, and this might be the direction. And then that's on the fundamental technology. And then you obviously have various layers, application layer that could be agnostic to the particular technology that wins. So those are So it's a bit like the airplane has not yet flown, but you're building the airports, you're building the duty-free shops and all that, which is okay. The duty-free shops make a lot of money.
Let's go to you. So you, tech founder, a couple times, I think, politician, leader of a nation.
Big mistake, by the way, to leave tech and go into politics. Do not. Don't.
And now, chairing a quantum company. Is that the normal process for quantum people to go through? Why are you on that journey, and why Quantum Source in particular?
When I finished being Prime Minister of Israel, and Israel was back then in great shape, I handed a good country over to my successor. I was approached by probably over 120 companies, and I decided that I want something that can make the world a better place in a meaningful way. I want the technology to be interesting, and I want the best people in the world. That's what I found in Quantum Source. I've never seen a team like this. And what Quantum Source does, we chose the photonic approach, which, to turn into layman terms, it means the initial journey is much harder, but once we reach the physical breakthroughs, the scalability is unlimited, whereas other approaches can have an easier path at the beginning, but as they scale, they reach the wall. What we do uniquely in Quantum Source is we generate qubits and entangle them in a deterministic way, not in a probabilistic way. And that means that we have about 4 to 5 orders of magnitude less need for resources. Primarily, the main thing is that we do it at room temperature, which means we don't need these huge facilities. We're building a computer, a quantum computer that would be the size of a stack in any data center. And during the past year and a half that I've been on board, we basically passed the physical threshold, and now it's more into engineering. So I'm extremely excited with this company. I feel very fortunate, and I'm enjoying the ride before I go back to run Israel.
Last question, and then we have to wrap. Very quickly, if we were to have this conversation in 5 years, what would we be talking about?
Look, the truth is we don't know. To be fair, we don't know. We might still be talking about around the corner. That certainly is a possibility. I hope we will be talking about remarkable applications that at this point in time we couldn't imagine. We couldn't even imagine, but because of the breakthrough, it opened up a world. And at the end of the day, what I really want quantum technologies to do is save as many lives as possible through medicine, create abundance so that the whole world will be better off. And we, as governments, are going to have to figure out how this doesn't turn into a very, very sinister technology.
Well, Stu and George, please sign us up for 5 years from now. We'll see what's going on. Talk about a defining moment. Thank you for taking the time to come talk to us. It's great both from a national perspective and a corporate and technology leader perspective. So please join me in thanking the Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Well, thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. And Preston, how great to get a perspective both from government and technology from industry and the public sector together on such an important topic.